phenomenal. Kelly, my wife, who many of you know, we stayed at, because of our business and because of the conferences we go to, we're just blessed and lucky to stay at a lot of nice properties around the country. But the experience we had at the Highland Haven ranks up there as one of the best. Because I think when you go up there, that idea about anticipating needs and creating experience really occurs. Just a few things just to understand the quality of this property. They were ranked as a top 10 romantic inn by Sunset Magazine. Just phenomenal. And I really believe they have done this. They have reinvented the concept of the bed and breakfast. And Gail didn't reinvent that by not paying attention. She reinvented that by being very judicious about the trends she saw in the market and her own vision, along with her husband Tom, about what they were going to do. They're not a frilly, like white lace. They are a quality, intensely quality bed and breakfast. When you leave there, you do leave with that mental picture that I'm talking about. And she does have the same vision we have, and that is to exceed her guests' expectations. I give you Gail Riley.
Well, that's really nice.
I could just feel it coming in.
Well, it's
spread the love, baby.
It's quite something to follow up tours. That I should have had a notepad here to take some notes from you. I'll give you just a sort of a then and now, which is a pretty big span. This May, next month, my husband and I will have had the Highland Haven for 32 years. Wow. So imagine that's a long time. We bought it in our 20s in 1979. And I think the only pertinent part is that then it was a motel. We couldn't afford to do any improvements for at least 8 years. Then we put in a horseshoe pit and called it a resort motel. and then soon after that time, we made a concerted decision to improve and never stop. And that's the way we work. That's our work ethic, and that's what we knew Highland Haven could be. It has great bones, and we've just enhanced it. It's several buildings. It's not really a bed and breakfast. It's sort of a misnomer. You can picture it as a hotel. Yeah, it is an inn, and it's big. So it's 17 units, and then we just this year added for the first time the 18th, which is a real high-end luxury tree house, 3-story. And we were scared to death to do it in the recession, but it had been a vision of mine. We both grew up in Indiana. I love the trees and I love nature. And it was a smart business move. It wasn't frivolous by any means, but spending a great deal amount of money at this time in the economy was a little scary. But now it's completed, and we're looking at heavily. It's just going to be used the first time Thursday night, and we already have half of July booked. It's in this course of our lifetime, which has been a long time. We made a decision in the 90s to set ourselves apart. We didn't want to be average. We certainly wanted to make it special. So we've worked on that. My husband's extremely talented. He can design cabinetry. He does tile work. He's spectacular in his abilities. If we had to pay for what he does, we wouldn't be where we are. If we had to pay for what I do, we couldn't do it either. We have a very small staff. Unlike you, there's just 12 of us, but that makes it 12, 15, sometimes 20. A manageable group that we really can impress what our vision is pretty easily. And I think I can say confidently that we do have a sense of place, that we do create experience, and we do anticipate. I understand all the basics, probably not to the level of what you know with Ritz-Carlton or Four Seasons, but I do know that we can make sure that we anticipate and then we exceed. Our rooms have gone into the highest level. There's hot tubs, jacuzzi, fireplaces, wet bars. They're they're constantly improved. We don't stop making things better, and we anticipate the trends, which is very important. In the 90s, bed and breakfasts were just pretty darn new. I mean, Europeans had bed and breakfast early, and we started with a cookie and a coffee and have a nice day. And now we've elaborated to a very extensive breakfast that we serve every morning. It's made by our staff. We bake strawberries, roast potatoes, fruits. I bake. The staff is thrilled to be able to give their food that they make to the guests. And that's an important part of this industry. My husband and I love to have breakfast when we travel, so we have given what we would love. One of the smartest marketing things I did, and I really do not stop, my brain is just like a cuckoo marketing thing, and that's how we got it in Sunset. That's Visit Denver is doing a media event with us next month, and we're going to be in May Sunset, not from them, just because of the treehouse. So, the expense of the treehouse, anticipation of it, and knowing that we're going to have honeymooners, anniversary people. Now we're going to be supported by magazines, so it was a smart marketing move as well. So when we started doing breakfast, we did it wholeheartedly, and then later on, I wrote my first book, which is called Colorado Cravings. It's in its fourth printing, and because it's a Highland Haven book, people buy it there mostly. It's been in bookstores everywhere, but it's been the greatest tool because they'll come for their anniversary. And the book is about, and I think when I was thinking about what I was going to impart, and this may not have as much value as the marketing part, but the book, Colorado Cravings, really touches on four things, which I think is our Colorado Western hospitality. The cravings part, of course, food. Has a lot of recipes in it. And people love the nurturing of food. So the breakfast and the recipes. The romance, which is our niche, is the most important thing in the world to me. You know, for us to have couples that come to reconnect, first time they've had a babysitter, it's their honeymoon night, their 50th anniversary, whatever it is, that romantic thing, we just all need.
We got to book you, John.
Yeah.
I know, I'm just thinking about it.
And the creativity is why I do this business. If I can be creative, I'm happy. And I think we all come to creativity in our lives and our jobs. It's one of the most important things. And then I think for the Lariat Loop and for Western hospitality, we are so blessed with nature. I mean, we at Highland Haven wouldn't be as great as we are if we didn't have Colorado, if we didn't have Evergreen, if we didn't have our setting. Because everything is tied up with the enviable beauty that we have. I mean, we have these guests from all over the world that come here and they're just enthralled with our Rocky Mountains and our creek and our blue skies and our crisp air and our, everything about it is so hand in hand with every business and every organization. So the loop is it. It's history, which is you care more about, I think, the older you get. When we first bought Highland Haven, and remember we were in our 20s, we had a cabin that we now serve breakfast in. We've completely redone it. It's the oldest cabin in the canyon. It was built in the 1860s. Well, we could give it. It was covered with cheap paneling, and it wasn't until we decided to really implement this big breakfast that we redid it and found out the history. That was John Daly, who was the first printer of the Rocky Mountain News, and the Stagecoach picked up across the street. The first library was down, and now if I can get a guest that speaks of history, they are just enthralled with. Now, if they're from Europe or the East Coast, they think 1860s is yesterday. But I can, for the Lariat Loop, I can send all these guests, and they will go anywhere I tell them to. It's because they're like, tell me, what should I see? Where should I go? Should I go to the brewery? Should I see Red Rock? Should I check with the Chamber of Commerce? Should I shop? Should I go to the lake? Where should I eat? And if I can click with them on history, then I know that I can, in some way, help the Lariat Loop, which makes me look good too. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. I applaud the effort that this is one polished, snazzy, marketing, promotional, rich background group, I think you should be very proud. I'm happy to be here and impressed with what you're doing.
Thank you, Gail. Don Tallman and I, we've become friends over the last year. I live on North Table Mountain in Golden, so I see firsthand the traffic that heads down, what would it be, 10th Avenue to 44th. And especially when certain exhibits are in town, it might be tough getting across town, but I'm glad they're at your place. Some things you may not, wow, I may not have known this. The Colorado Railroad Museum is consistently, one of the top 10 paid attractions in the Denver metro area. It's consistently ranked by some of the fun magazines we read, and some of like the Denver Business Journal. If you don't read the Denver Business Journal, read the Denver Business Journal. What a great resource. I read it pretty much cover to cover every week. They've been named one of the best attractions in Denver by the Denver Business Journal. There was this good news celebration recently where they won a big award, and they were contributing to the history of Jefferson County. You've heard some of our speakers talk about that learning aspect. That is an augmented product. The generic product doesn't go there. The augmented product, or the enhanced product, brings learning and education. Don does it at the wine cafe. It's not just about drinking a glass of wine. It's about the layers of knowledge that come with learning about that wine. That makes the person feel good up here. That makes the person feel better about themselves. And that's what creates an experience. And that's what Don does at the Colorado Railroad Museum. Something was really cool. They were nominated for the Golden Rotary Ethics in Business Award. I think Pete Coors won it, so you're up against great competition there. And they've been the nonprofit nominated by it. I was really cheering for Don this year. They were nominated as the nonprofit of the year by the West Chamber. So Don, thanks for being here today, and share a few words with us.
You know, at the Colorado Railroad Museum, when we moved here, one of the first things that we did was stop by the Railroad Museum. This is back in '96, and it's changed a lot since then. They've added some buildings, they've added a roundhouse and a library. But when I went through it, I was disappointed because it was primarily for the rail fan, very specific niche. And they didn't really have a lot of interpretation. They didn't have a lot of, it was kind of a big, you had all these trains, and I kept wondering, so why is this here? What's so important about this train or this locomotive? And so and people were more interested in talking to the railheads, the real performers, than to those of us who really had no experience and had no real understanding of railroad history, of the importance of railroads in Colorado. So about 4 years ago, I was interviewing for this position, and I said, look, if you want somebody who's got any background in railroads or as a rail fan, I'm not your guy. But I know a little something about running an organization and about marketing and about the experience. And so and it was interesting because when I was waiting for my interview, nobody from the staff said, can I help you? I had to, finally say, excuse me, but I'm supposed to see Bill Henderson. And they said, oh, okay, well, and then, they kind of shuffled off. So customer service and the guest experience wasn't really high on the priorities. And one of the first things that I did when I became the executive director was begin that process of changing the culture. And I think, as all of our other panelists have said, that guest experience has to become part of the culture. And right from the start, when anyone was hired, and in fact, before someone is hired, we're looking